Hello, my name is Greg, and welcome to This Flippin' Furniture. Corey over at Desert DIY has a playlist where furniture flippers take these ugly ducklings, like you see here, and we turn them into beautiful swans like this. So be sure to go over to Desert DIY and check out all the other wonderful furniture flips that are on the playlist. And right here, check out the trouble I had staining this drawer.
You can watch it absorb right into the wood. It's amazing. I would think at some point it would have to get saturated. I actually found this sitting just like this in an old barn. This dresser had been in their family for 120 years. And why anybody would let a dresser sit out in a barn that is this nice is beyond me. But I think part of the reason is they couldn't get the drawers to open. But all you have to do, look at those hand-cut dovetails, hand-cut in the back. That drawer's kind of falling apart. This must be the hardware to it. I wonder if it's all here. So there would be two. Oh boy, the bottom of that is rotted. No lock in there. I haven't been this excited about doing a furniture flip in a long time. Look at the bottom, all of these cobwebs. Who knows how old this thing actually is? I'm not certain when they started using veneers, but I know it's been a long time. The detail in this is just phenomenal. Look at all those spider webs down in there. But I want to get some of this stain off and take a look at the wood. So I'm going to get this thing cleaned up and get all these loose veneers off. And I laughed when I looked at that. Look at that nail. Like I always think about furniture being this old and such a nice piece. And when whoever built this, when they missed that nail, what did they think? All right, I don't use furniture stripper a lot. In this case, I'm going to. And I don't know how long I'll leave it on because who knows if this is the first and original coat of stain. But I want to start off with bare wood so I can see to the best of my abilities. I'd like to match the veneers that I'm going to make. This is the drawer in need of some repair, but that's a real easy fix. I always think of these old pieces and you just wonder what this has been through, the history. What I find interesting right away, look at how different that yellowing is. Kind of looks like a wine glass right now. They had something different on that, a different type of stain. Sometimes they have trays that slide out. It's gonna be a pain to get all that stripper off of there. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this stripper off of here. I always get new socks for Christmas. And don't tell my family this, but everybody thinks I like wearing new socks. It's just so I have plenty of rags in the shop. Shh. There's a little bit of damage right there. Probably too deep to sand out. But against my better judgment, I'm going to start at 60 grit. And I'd like to sand down to get that out. I don't know if I'll be able to. That's pretty deep down into there. I just drenched this with Dawn dish soap. Every time it would just pull out more and more dirt. Brand new paper, I bet it gums it up quickly. I have no idea what kind of wood this is, but I'm thinking it's hickory, and this up here specifically makes me believe it's hickory. I did get that almost sanded out. It actually feels smooth, so I'm gonna stop with the 60 grit and go up to 80. Okay, we got the big, bulky part of this cleaned. There's a lot of detailed cleaning and sanding. We're going to get after it. All right, I just poured some acetone in here, and we are going to get this thing scrubbed down a little bit, get some of that citrus clean off. Just have a brass brush. There's no way I could scrub with that little handle all day. Still a lot of dirt and grime in there. But I think you've seen enough cleaning for now. I've been torn about this one thing, and that is that right there and that nick. Those are really easy repairs because those lines are so straight. I could just put a piece of wood in there, but with the dresser from the 1800s, and other than the veneers, there's really nothing wrong with this piece. Everything is solid, nice. For character, I might leave that in there. I have to give that some more thought, but right now that's what I'm thinking. There's old Casper.
Hey, what you doing?
For those of you as dumb or dumber than me, don't take acetone and pour it in a plastic cup and then walk off and grab a bite to eat. If you're wondering, yes, acetone eats through plastic. This little thing was a lifesaver, or shall I say hand saver. And then with the top, how it is, that looks an awful lot like Hickory, and I think that 3x10 right there is Hickory. I'll have to cut that and see. Plus, if I bought veneers, I'd have to peel all that out to get a good seal when I can make them 1/8 of an inch or so. Don't have to worry about that. Time to start the sanding process. Okay, I want to sand these down really well. So I flipped them upside down, and then that would allow me to get a little bit better look at this. I think that adds a lot of character.
You just seen me finish with the hand plane there, and that's so I could get a square side to run it up against my table saw fence. And I'm trimming off the opposite side so I have a completely square piece of wood to cut the veneers. And right here I'm just measuring the height of my blade. And the reason the height of your blade is important is you can actually cut your veneers twice as thick as the height of your blade if your lumber is square. So you can put it up on edge, rip it the length, rotate the lumber over, keeping the same side against the fence. Then you can kind of micro adjust your saw blade to keep just a little adjoining piece of wood on there. And just having that little piece of wood on there makes it much safer. And here I'm attempting to keep the wood grain matched, but we'll see after I put these veneers on that I had to tear them off a couple of times, so ended up not working the way that I wanted it to. It's much safer to leave a little adjoining piece of wood on there so you're not actually separating the thin strip. You leave just enough wood on there to keep it attached and one piece of wood, so it's much safer going through the table saw. And then I just bring them over here, get my sander and sand off that little bit of wood that's left on there just so it runs smoothly up against the fence on the table saw.
Looks like I got super lucky. Have a pretty good fit there. Not bad. So now we're gonna get the grain pattern matched up the way that we want it to. Should be fine. Hopefully I have some glue around here. Well, I might have to duct tape it. I don't think I used it all on the tabletop. There might be enough in here. I know I have a whole nother gallon of glue. Hey, Kathy, have you seen that gallon of glue? No, it's about half gone. I need a little bit more glue in there. Okay, now the reason this glue up will be a little bit easier than some we do is because we can catch this right there. I don't believe I want to have acetone balance in there. I don't know if I really want that paint balance in there either. All right, got the first set of veneers on. Okay, got a lot to get done today. If you haven't seen my sanding video, congratulations. It was a horrible video. I think the second video that I did for YouTube. I took 25 or 30 minutes or whatever to say these edges, they're typically darker than the top. The reason for that can be minimized is to sand this to a higher grit than you sand the face. Get to work on this other side. Something doesn't look, let's see what we have going on. Oh, okay. I don't know if the camera is picking up on this. That board kind of drops down because it's this thin 1/4-inch sheet, which then is causing that to lift up. So what I'm wondering, we could do one of two things, and I think I'm gonna choose the third. That's much better, and I'm gonna take just a little bit off of this so it kind of sits more in just that deepest part. I want to mix match this grain as much as possible now that we can't book match it. Must be when that moisture from the glue gets in there, it makes these boards want to act up a little bit. I guess they're kind of like kids. Can't trust them to do their job till they get a little bit older. All right, we're going to take this old hardware, a little bit of warm water, and a whole lot of vinegar. And give that a day or so. See if we can't get it cleaned up. All right, let's get the clamps off this thing. Houston, we have a problem. That cannot be fixed. That can only be taken off. Not very easily. Well, I learned something. That will actually pull the veneers off. I've never ran into that, but that glue on that veneer is probably 150 years old. So it makes sense that after 150 years, it might break down. All right, we're gonna get these inside veneers put on. We have a little bit to navigate around this thing, but not any big deal. We'll just take our handy dandy little square and we'll get that cut out. I guess I should have measured that. That's a little bit wider. That's all right, we can slip a piece in there. You can see how bad these things want to bow. I'm going to get another clamp on that. Working with Hickory, working with veneers, it's just sometimes a nuisance. I had this clamped up almost as well as I could possibly get it, and right in here, these things bowed up. So I'm going to try my fail-proof method. I know what you're saying. Greg, why didn't you use your fail-proof method the first 2 times? Yeah, great question. But furniture flipping comes with ups and downs. You just gotta hang with it. Give that CA glue a little bit of time to set up. So I just told you, if furniture flipping, it comes with mistakes. You just have to work your way through. But if these curl up again, I'm out. I'm hanging up the shop. Because truthfully, if your fail-proof method fails, what do you have left? I want a flatter board. You tell me, do you see any way possible that'll curl up? We're gonna find out later this evening. Okay, it's been about 6 hours. So let's see if this remained flat, where I won't have to redo it for a 4th time. Not horrible. Figured we'd have a little bit of squeeze out, so I wanted to get this off before then. And it's not horrible, but it's not perfect either. But it's gonna do. So I'm just gonna set this back under here. Well, finally, after 3 failed attempts, we managed to create a veneer that didn't curl up on the edges. It should have plenty of glue to hold this thing down. Hooray, hooray, we finally got it. That's pretty tight in there. The Minwax pre-stain, I've used it a lot of times. We're gonna do a little bit more sand in here. When I was sanding this, in fact, there's still some more stuff on here. This Minwax, it lasts forever. Or I should say, a can goes a long way when you're putting this stuff on. And it applies very easily. I mean, you don't have to really spread it evenly. All you have to do is wet the surface. And I've been trying to figure out what kind of wood this is. A lot of this looks like hickory, and I'm certain the top of that table is hickory. This kind of looks like hickory, so I don't know. Of course, admittedly, I probably never sanded 150-year-old hickory or however old this is, but it shouldn't change much, I wouldn't think. Yeah, look how quick that's drying. There's still something on there. Look at that. You can see it dry right before your eyes. I've never seen anything dry. Look, it absorbs it. I don't know if you can see that. Watch this. You can watch it absorb right into the wood. That's amazing. I would think at some point it would have to get saturated. It's like a magic trick. Just got some steel wool here. Honestly, last night when I was putting this on, I probably shouldn't have been doing it. I was pretty tired. I think I'm gonna do another coat or round or whatever of the wax. It's not bad, but there's some areas that don't have quite, well, it just depends on what angle you look at it from. Since it depends on what angle you look at it from, I'm gonna do another round. What the problem is like on the top edges of these grooves, a little bit of black that's seeping through, or brown probably from the stain. And I wanna get that all in gold. It's hardly noticeable. I need a little bit more control. Putting it in with that stick, how I did it, it left it not like a real smooth line, or just looked kind of rough and jagged, so wasn't pleased with it. Yeah, that's looking much better already. And we're kind of having a second layer, so to speak. Thought of a couple of different ways of doing this, including some dye, but I want more control. With any sort of dye or anything, I worry about it bleeding through outside of where I want that to remain. I just cleaned it off with some air. I'm going to get some gilded wax in there. Let that match the drawers. I have 320 here because I don't want to change any of the structure of these since they're round. And it'd be pretty easy to sand some flat spots in those. Hello.
How's it going?
Good, I'll be ready to stain tomorrow. Okay, we got all this sanded up to 240 all the way through. And I'm gonna take 400 and I'm gonna sand these edges. Quick test, anyone know why? It makes less stain absorb, so it's not the face grain, it's more of the edge grain. It makes those pores smaller, which absorb less stain, so hopefully we'll get a closer color match to these edges and the top. Okay, we're going to use our pre-stain here, our Minwax pre-stain. This stuff is amazing. If you don't use it, you should get you some. I don't know if I've ever put this over any gilded wax, so I'm gonna try and avoid it just for the most part. I don't think if a little gets on there, it'll hurt. These legs, they really soaking this stuff in, so I'm glad I used that. It should give a more even and consistent stain. All right, when we had this, it kind of had this red tint to it. I don't like that red tint. We're going to use the Early American. Now this wood is staining just like the doors, so actually the staining on this goes pretty easy. Then it doesn't appear like there's much chance of it blotching, especially with that pre-stain on there. Okay. I don't like that finish. I may have left that urethane in that gun for too long and it's kind of spitting it out.
Here's a little reminder of what we started with, and here's what we ended up with. These challenges are a lot of fun, and they're also a lot of work. So when you go over to Desert DIY and look at that playlist, any of the videos that you click on to watch the videos, if you like the content, one easy thing you can do is just to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That in itself is one of the best things that you can do to help out the furniture flippers to be able to continue making these videos and posting them on YouTube. So once again, thanks for watching.